Hey guys, how y'all doing? I'm here to give you guys a recap on the new episode of Recreators, which is on episode 18. Now, this episode here was actually pretty cool. Not too bad, even though I always say this at most of my videos here and there. But it actually became a little hard for me to try to recap this kind of episode because a lot of things have been happening and I don't know how to say it in a simple way that could get a little less complicated than usual. But if anything else, let's go. We have to it that Tokar Blitz embraces his daughter and he goes like, "This is impossible. How is it that my daughter is alive? She died right in front of me." And his creator, Shuma Suruga, ends up telling him, it was really hard because there's no magicians in the Code of Babylon. But with Meteor's World that we did some kind of spin-off, etc., it was actually possible to meet the stories all together and to make it have some sense. So we remade the dimensional gate and have her come back after her head got blown to pieces. So, although acceptance was something that had to be involved, and I'm pretty sure those of you guys who are up to date with the Recreator series will understand the acceptance, etc., from the audience. And after much talking with his creator, she ended up asking him a question. One, will you allow Altair to do whatever she wants and have your daughter be killed again? Or two, will you fight against Altair and reunite with your daughter into the next world? Would you allow that? Although this was a tough question for Tokar Blitz, he ended up making the decision later. Speaking of which, we had to it that Yuya Mirokoji actually had some major trouble with Sho Hakua or something, obviously. But eventually we had to it that Hoshikawa is some kind of mighty warrior of martial artists that actually came to save him. And it was actually pretty cool, etc. And even the other guys go like, "I can't believe you managed to get acceptance like this, dude." He goes like, "It ain't that hard." But aside from that, the only thing that really caught my attention greatly in this episode, and I'm going to be honest with you, is the conversation between Magane-chan and Sota. I thought Sota was going to run away from Magane-chan because of her personality, etc. But instead, he stood firm, relaxed, and in a certain calm demeanor talked to her. When it came to certain questions about why is he doing this, etc., maybe Sota's doing it for his own feelings and maybe some other stuff, although Magane-chan might find that kind of ridiculous in a certain sense. But after talking to him a little bit more, etc., and maybe have some kind of bonding moment, if you want to call it that way, the way how I'm seeing it, it became a little complicated for me to try to recap this conversation because this was the part where me talking and telling you guys about the conversation between Sota and Magane-chan is going to be difficult for me because I could say that they just had a small talk and Magane-chan could help and is helping out Sota, and she did help out Sota in terms of using her ability to rewrite reality, etc. But in terms of that, she also teaches him that you should live your life to your certain fullest in a certain way. And Sota was wondering why she really doing this. She goes like I said, I just want to be entertained, I see people living, dying, and fighting over a small thing, which is really ridiculous. But it's even more ridiculous to it that when people are fighting over gold. But you see here, I just enjoy seeing people having some kind of fun. I hope you can understand what I'm saying. And of course, those of you guys who watched the latest episode will understand that conversation between Magane-chan and Sota-kun. Although, like I said, recapping that conversation involving certain themes that you gotta live to your fullest, etc., and how things are, should be very important. Eventually, she gives him a hug and says goodbye and leaves the stage. And gives Hangaku, or whatever that ghost thing, to Yuya back. And eventually we have to it that the old man, Tokar Blitz, goes against Sho, which is really, he's like, what the heck are you trying to do? And as for the usual, we have to it that Alisteria decides to team up with the others, even teams up with Kanoya and Meteora as she finally knows the truth, which finally gotten to that point, and of course, Altair ends up taking on Celestia like no tomorrow. Like, she blocks her giant blade like and threw her ground like effortlessly. And of course, Sho was trying to take on Hoshikawa, Tokar Blitz, and Yuya, Mirokoji Yuya, but apparently, thanks to Hoshikawa's ability, she managed to stop his attack, which came a little problematic for him. Eventually, he ends up explaining that he will never forgive Yuya for what he did, but he goes like, but we also see to it that Hoshikawa says, you haven't told him yet, Yuya? Let me tell you something, Sho. Mirokuji is not the one that killed your sister and your best friend. He goes like, huh? And Mirokuji Yuya's like, let me tell you something. You know that stuff about the fortune teller, etc.? He's the one that did the behind the scenes and freaking orchestrated the whole thing. And Sho's like, huh? And then the audience were like, huh? I was thinking about oh my gosh, that was just a funny scene because it was like, the audience was like heck shocked to see that this guy who has a major like sour hateful relationship against him is all because of the guy who did the behind the scenes. Even the creator of this thing goes like, he gave away the spoiler! Why? I think in my mind, you idiot. You think it was that simple to like keep it all inside? Hey, everybody gives out spoilers, okay? That's the honest truth. Even I was spoiled back then with a couple things here and there. But it was my own curiosity or something that got the best of me. But aside from me rambling on, we had to it that Mirokoji and Sho had a little funny conversation like, I thought you wanted to hang out with me because you like me in a certain way, you know? He goes like, yeah, right! Who would want to hang out with you because I hate you? I don't know, but aside from that, we had to it that everyone was kind of like really shocked about it, but we also see to it that Celestia got Altair in a cube-like trap, and with the help, Celestia got Altair in a cube-like trap. Hopefully I said that right. If I repeated myself, forgive me. But aside from that, Alistair and Kanya were about to deal a final blow as Alistair says this is for Mamika, but they end up being interrupted and realizes that Celestia realizes that machine and realizes it's Charon. And I go like, well, just by looking at his eyes right now, it looks like he's mind-controlled, etc. Or possibly doing it out of his own yandere thing. But aside from that, like the plan that they tried to do to defeat Altair, it got stopped by Charon. So, that's from Celestia's book, or series, etc. I'm pretty sure you guys understand that, obviously. But aside from that, wow. Pretty crazy episode. The conversation between Sota and Magane-chan was actually really interesting. I'm very sorry I can't put into other great details between that conversation when it comes to Magane-chan talking to Sota about life and then how you should live to your fullest, and I'm just helping you because I just want to be entertained, and you know, etc. She hugs him and goes off into the night. Like I said, it was pretty difficult. It was pretty difficult to try to recap that conversation because it had a lot of important like themes involved with a little bit of human life, etc. Just my theory or hypothesis on my perspective in there, but yeah. Anyways, thought the episode was pretty cool. The way how it ended, especially with Celestia realizing who that person is, Charon, is gonna be tense from here on out. Despite like Sho and freaking like Tokar Blitz turning their backs on Altair after realizing a couple things here and there, but still, enjoyed the episode. Hope you did too. So until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. So I'm off for Zero, people. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot!